Hey guys, thank you for joining today. Just wanted to do a quick call about the state of mock players out in the world. And so we have Todd Anderson, Senior Software Engineer, longtime Red5 guy. Man, you're probably working with me for a very long time before we had gray and bald hair and all that stuff. But Uh, and then we've got Lucke, who's one of our newest members of the team, Senior Software Architect. Thank you for joining. Uh, I think, I wanted to jump into this just to get your opinion on where we're at, kind of maybe provide some insight to people out there, what we've been developing, and keep this focused on the client side, and particularly playback of mock, and what are we doing on that front. And Ray, I'll let you kind of start maybe because you're sort of the lead on the mock player, which it started out sort of as a joke, Playa, Playa, but now it's become I guess, the default name of the product.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So, it's funny because I actually really I think that the Playa name has grown on me. At first, I was a little felt like, I don't know, but now I actually kind of like it. I think it's kind of fun. It's got a little yeah. Anyway, yeah. So no, so Playa has evolved. Definitely, when we started it, the question was how to. Um, it actually started as a draft 16 player, and the goal was um, to implement the spec as one-to-one as physically possible. And one of the ways I did that, and we did that, was we ended up doing a sans IO architecture where the state machine and everything is all completely disconnected, and it allows us to do some rapid testing. Our tests they've allowed us to advance pretty far, in a way that I don't think we could have quite to the degree how we have. And so the Playa has it's got to the point now where it feels like it's out of the toy stage.
Hmm.
I think a lot of players out there are kind of stuck in that toy stage where they're working through issues, and I kind of feel like we were able to sidestep a lot of those issues just um, through this process we took. And so I guess it turned out to be a great choice. And so, I guess it's interesting because we built out enough of the spec that um, we were able to add broadcast support to it with minimal changes to the transport, which was I felt that was a really great um, testament to kind of where it has gotten to at this point. And so we most recently added draft 14 support because we do need to support the
Yeah, it's
couple
funny
of
you
last
had to work.
versions.
It's funny you had to work backwards to get. Even we implemented 16 first and then came back. I guess one thing that you kind of brought up, which I think is important to note, is that a lot of the other mock players out there today are kind of more in that, like you said, proof of concept phase, or they're trying to prove it out. They're just doing whatever they can to get mock streams working or media over quick and in whatever way possible. And I think, your architectural decisions were good and sound in the sense that you really took this modular approach. And I think that's paying off in dividends. Like you said, being able to just build a little mini broadcaster out of the same core base is pretty exciting. Um, I
Yeah,
think, yeah, Todd, you're the one kind of taking this and using it now, which is
yeah,
kind of fun, and integrating
yeah.
with what we have on the Red 5 relay side. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually prefer to call it Playa because I actually like the beachy feel to it.
I
But
agree.
yeah,
I guess we should put that out when this goes out on social media or LinkedIn or something. I would love to hear in the comments, like, what do you think? Should we call it Playa? And then, it's about going to the beach, or is it Playa? And
yeah,
yeah, kind of
data
more
data.
gangster. I don't know. Let's see which way we want to go with this. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've actually taken more of a, I'm the end developer role,
Mhm.
creating these demos, working with the library. And I think it's wonderful how it was made modular, and taking in the examples that are also available from the repo. I actually approached Ray and I was like, can we have a one shot deal? Because it was so modular,
Mhm.
you can build what you want from the pieces as far as a player. But I also said, is there a one shot deal where I could just have a constructor with initialization properties and let me just you set the default for me because I may not know enough about the browser or the platform that this will be distributed on. And he was very easily just to create this player, which is in the Playa namespace for the library, and I was up and running within the afternoon, very easily incorporated into the browser, and it plays on most browsers that played on. I actually tried it on Safari with the latest 26.4 or 24.6.
Yeah,
Um,
20. Yeah, yeah, I always reverse those, but yeah, I mean that was a
yeah,
huge update, right? The fact that now all of this mock playback works in Safari, mobile
yeah,
too, iOS as well, which is huge.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
So I'm excited to get it integrated with our web-based SDK as well. So and hopefully have just the same front that we did when we switched from WebSockets WebRTC to Whip and Web. Uh, Hopefully, just a simple drop in. This is what we're doing. If you'd like a mock version of the publisher subscriber, then you just
that's
switch it
awesome.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, so speaking of that, I would like to talk a little bit about the modularity of the software that we wrote, Ray, and like your approach to taking this. Like, what are some of the modules that are there now? And then you might want to also talk a bit about which I think is so cool, this philosophy of when you're building a new feature, you put it in the demos first. So it's like a kind of a demo category, and then that gets migrated into a module if it makes sense, right? And so maybe talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to take this backwards. So, what you're talking about is a lot of the features I've added to this. They would start out sort of. I guess I've kind of seen my examples as sort of a playground in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's an idea, and I want to make sure that it actually works out. And by starting it in as an example, I can sort of throw mud at the wall, I suppose, and see how it pans out. And then once I have a clear path forward, that's usually when I will then bring it back into the core, into one of the modules, the appropriate module. And so that's worked out really well. And yeah, and as you were mentioning the modularity, yeah. So like I've made every effort I can to separate out the core functionality such that a person can basically construct a pipeline using all Playa models, or they can substitute.
Mm-hmm.
Almost any point they can substitute, and so this should, at least in theory, allow for integration with platforms that we're not even aware of at this point. And so I think that's going to play out really well. And I mean ultimately you could take like the LOC package alone, and that might be the only thing a person uses, right? Or they might decide they want to use our whole transport layer, but they don't want to use any of our playback layer. And so um, I feel like this is one of those things that there's so many variations of how you can use this that I kind of feel like there's something for everybody.
That's great. And I guess I should also point out that all of this code that we're writing is open source. I don't know if we've released it publicly yet because it's kind of part of the openmock.org organization at the moment until we get this in a little bit more solid place. But I think it's going to be released pretty soon for people to play with. And so that, just so people know that are watching this out there, that this is not just us talking about our internal code that you're never going to get your hands on, and can see how this stuff was constructed, and can use it yourself. Our whole point of this is make it available for other developers to take it and do it. And other members of the Open Mock org, like BitMovin, are definitely planning on using this in their own player, which does a whole bunch of other stuff that's specific to them. Probably a lot of their analytics and other things that they like to tie into their platform. So yeah, I think this modularity is really great. I think that's why we're getting the buy-in from the other member companies, that they want to go in this direction as well. I know that was a big requirement. And just like you, Todd, I think other members on OpenMock have had really good success, like Peter Che from Akamai. He's been using this, and I guess it's the player he's had the most success with, actually, and getting stuff up and running with the Akamai relays as well. Anything else, you guys? I guess we could talk a bit about, like, once we get web done, which I feel like we're pretty, in a pretty solid place. They're saying, there's some features that we need to really spec out how it's going to be done. One of which is ABR. I know we have the switching right now, right? We have the ability to switch channels super easy, but the strategy of calculating the bandwidth, availability on the client and stuff. And I know, Ray, you were looking into that a little bit, right? I don't know if you want to talk to some of the research you've done on that.
Yeah, maybe a little. Yeah, the Playa has ABR switching, has uh, all that stuff. It's interesting. Yeah, regarding the Swift side of things, actually,
Mhm.
the iOS and Android. I have put some time into a Swift client. It's been kind of a little bit on the side thus far, because my main priority is obviously Playa and getting that past the finish line here. But yeah, no. So the Swift player that we have at this point here is actually. Um, it is it's the API and everything is written in Swift. All of the specific iOS code is Swift. But I actually decided to take a different approach for the transport and all those reusable pieces. I actually did in Rust, so we can use those on Android, and it's going to just basically be adapters that connect these to the various platforms. And I guess my hope here, if I do my job right here,
Mhm.
is that really that Rust backend will be just like the Playa, where you can take that and you can put it on any platform you want. There is not a single line of networking code in my whole transport layer in either of these projects. It's
Yeah.
all connected. It's all dependency injection
I,
version. Yeah.
I,
So,
I think that sounds
um,
brilliant, because you look at the way people build WebRTC apps today. Most people use libWebRTC to do that, but the biggest problem with that I've seen is it's so bundled, right? It's kind of all or nothing in that case. And this sounds very promising for people wanting to adopt this. Maybe they have a very custom Windows app or something that they need to pop this into. They could, right? Um,
yeah, absolutely. And
mhm,
again, I cannot underscore how amazing this has been for testability.
mhm.
I attempt in every place I can to do test driven. I especially with a project like this, and so I ground everything I can in the spec so I can always refer back. Because I am a human, I forget things, and being able to go back and actually go, wait, how is this supposed to be? I don't have to go search the spec. I know exactly where to go, because my comments in my tests always have references back. They have callbacks, and so either way, yeah, it's just been a great experience here. Um, uh, Building this, and I guess stealing ideas between the two. Like there's kind of a bit of a synergy between now my Rust backend and the Playa. So
Well, I'm looking forward to letting people play with the player, or Playa, or Playa, depending on which way they want to say it. And yeah, I mean, getting feedback from the community, I think that's going to be huge for us. So I guess what, I would like to ask both of you, like, what do you think about mock in general, media over quick, and the whole, number one, the community around it, number two, the technology itself. What are your thoughts?
Well, the community's been great that we've met with so far. So there seems to be a big interest and forward thinking with what we're doing and what we've been involved with. Um, as far as I think Ray could probably speak better to actually the technology behind it. Um,
Mhm.
but I really like how the broadcast you request the stream for a subscriber rather than I don't know. I can't really speak to that well to
Oh, yeah, instead of the
it.
peer-to-peer model with WebRTC, which is an
Exactly.
ICE negotiation and all the that's
Yeah,
classic. My
that
camera's
was,
like, yeah, it's just there's AI for you. Um,
No, actually, okay. So the community has been great.
mhm,
I am relatively new to the community here. I'm probably the newest member of this community, but I've been really enjoying interacting with people. I think that everybody on it is extremely talented and extremely motivated to see this get past the finish line here. I would also say that the technology itself, I really, when I first read the spec, I really I was so impressed. Now I read draft 16, and like we talked about earlier, I had to then go back to draft 14, and
mhm,
it's weird to time travel back to worse implementations or worse specs, but I did that. But no, but ultimately though, like draft 16 was my first experience with it, and I was so impressed by the overall. The design, I think that it was one of those things where I feel like it makes such elegant use of quick
mhm,
that it's like a match made in heaven. It's amazing. And then on top of that, I will say that this whole idea of separating the publisher and the relay, and allowing the relay to have no sense of the actual content being transferred, just the metadata.
mhm.
Um, I think is brilliant, and it allows for somebody to build an extremely efficient relay that can handle an obscene amount of streams without the overhead of having to worry about the actual content being transferred there. So that's something I really love. And then yeah, and it's been really interesting too because. There are these little unspoken things that I've encountered where it's not in the spec. It's also not necessarily on any web page that describes something, and these little assumptions. And so that's been probably the if you were to ask me the funniest thing, that would be it. And like there were these little assumptions that occasionally happen, but they are so few and far between that yeah, no, I'm tremendously happy with working with everybody. This has been such
Yeah,
a great experience.
it's pretty amazing that the spec has come along as far as it did in such a remarkably short time, and it's designed by committee with an IETF group, right? So that says a lot about the talent of the people involved and the willingness to work together too, um, and
Yeah.
make good compromises. So awesome. Well, I really thank you guys for joining the program today. And obviously, really appreciate all of your hard work on making the Red5 mock solution almost ready to go. I think we're going to be taking beta testers on the full network pretty soon. We're deploying all of our relays on CashFly to create a global network as well, and that's going to be available through Red5 Cloud. And we'll be having, you can send your stream via, whatever protocol you want, SRT, RTSP, RTMP, any variety of ingest protocols you want, and we'll take care of translating that into a mock stream, which is then available for delivery, and then receiving it on the Playa, depending on what you want. Um, anyway, great work, guys. Thank you for your time, and let's go.
yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks.